Hello guys, and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program video. Today we are back in the space plane hangar, as you can see, constructing our space station that we are going to be launching to low Kerbin orbit as a small little video for today. I did want to touch on something that I mentioned in the Dres video yesterday. These videos take a long time to build, so I said yesterday that we are going to be doing a few simple missions just to break it up so that I can continue uploading daily, because all these missions that we've done Duna, Gilly, Dres, they take hours and hours to build, plan, and edit, so we do have to sort of slow down a little bit and let me build some smaller missions. I'm going to continue uploading daily just so I can continue uploading daily. So, like for instance, today we're just launching a small station to low Kerbin orbit, and next episode I was thinking we would do a relay network to somewhere like Joule. Although who knows, maybe we'll land on a planet. I haven't really decided. It depends how much time making this video takes and how much free time I have tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see where I go. But I do need to lighten it a little bit so I have time to, make these videos and make them to the quality that I'd like. Like making a thumbnail, for instance. That takes quite a while. Editing, building the crafts, converting the video files so I can edit them. It takes a while. So anyway, we have this station almost built. It's not very big, and it only has 2 docking ports. And we do have a little propulsion mechanism that I'm building here, but it's very expandable, and I think it looked pretty nice. It has some solar arms that we are going to be launching separately as a little bit of a rendezvous tutorial, but I did want to touch on something else besides the workload issue, and that is that I was thinking that I wanted to cut back a little bit on the guide series, although I do like making the guides. They're sort of restrictive because I have to sort of lay it out in a tutorial format, and I want to expand on that a little bit. So I will still make the guides, but like if I want to, let's say build an SSTO to like somewhere in the Joule system, let's say Lathe SSTO. It's my favorite place to build SSTOs to. Now, I can't really structure that in a tutorial format, because if you're at the point where you're building a Lathe SSTO, you don't really need a tutorial, right? But I'd still like to build craft like Lathe SSTOs in this example, so I'm probably going to start uploading a few videos interspersed with my daily uploads, where they're just like, instead of KSP guides, they're just KSP. So you can sort of see how I play when it's not structured in sort of a tutorial format. So we are in the vehicle assembly building here, sort of skipped over most of the build, and we are going to be constructing the rest of the station in this little fairing here, so we can launch it up to around 100-kilometer orbit and give a little rendezvous tutorial for y'all. I think this rocket looks pretty cool. I really love those new silver fairing textures. I think they just look so absolutely amazing. They sort of break up the textures a little bit, so it's not just white and black and everything. You actually have some options outside of the standard white fairing. I find it kind of boring. So we are off the launch pad, and I say this in pretty much every one of my videos, but you want to be pointing around 45 degrees by 10 kilometers. That's a good gravity turn, and just slowly tilt over from there. You should be pointing around horizontal, not quite, at around 30 kilometers for an efficient gravity turn. Some less aerodynamic rockets, I might shallow out that gravity turn and go straight up for a little more because they're less aerodynamic. And others, like SSTOs, you want to go very flat early on and then pitch up, so it sort of depends on the craft. But for most rockets, general rule of thumb, 45 degrees by 10 kilometers. So here is our circularization burn. We are going to be aiming for around 100-kilometer orbit, just because I thought that was a nice round number. I could have gotten away with 70, but you want a little bit of space when you're rendezvousing so that you can burn a little below or a little above your target orbit, so you can adjust your orbit accordingly and get a good encounter. I can't really give all the pointers on getting a rendezvous until we have both craft in flight, so we will prepare to do that now. Just a nice little orbit. We did not need all this excess fuel, but I thought it looked kind of cool. So here's the station in orbit, just time warping to level it out and point it prograde. And here we are in the space plane hangar, preparing to build our solar arms. So again, these solar arms aren't super necessary because we do have a few RTGs on the station itself, just to give some supplemental power before we get these solar arms up. But I thought they looked kind of cool, and they have sort of an extendable arm thing that you can retract, maybe if you're docking another craft and you don't want to damage the solar panels. You know, it's not really realistic because, you know, obviously every time the ISS, you know, they get a craft up there, they don't retract all the solar panels, but I thought it was a neat idea. So we have some solar panels. I do end up replacing those with the one large solar panel because it ended up working better in the long run. So there we go. It looks pretty cool, and I think it turned out really well at the station itself, and it looks really cool. So while we are building this, I'll go ahead and touch on another thing. Next video, I'm sort of out of beginner places to go. Because I upload one video a day, here I am putting the solar arrays in the fairings, I'm sort of running out of beginner locations early. Like a Mun rocket, done Mun, done Minmus, done Duna, done Gilly. So I might revisit a few locations with more complex missions before going to somewhere like Joule. Or I might launch a probe to like Elu and just show you guys sort of the basics of further missions outside of the, you know, inner planets. Or I might go to Moho, although Moho is significantly more complicated and it's not really a beginner mission. So I was thinking next episode we would go to somewhere like Val, Pole, or Bop. All of those locations are relatively small moons of Joule. I could sort of give a guide on the basics of gravity assists for either getting to Joule or slowing down at Joule. And I thought it was a good next step for some further missions. You can see this rocket here was really unstable. I tried to fix it with some radial RCS thrusters, but it still remained a little unstable, but it wasn't really a big deal in the long run because we did end up getting a decent separation. And we are pretty close to the target, actually. The separation between the two is relatively neat. Now, I would recommend launching your second craft that you're attempting to rendezvous with your first craft a little bit before it passes under you. If you look at the main Kerbal continent type thing, the Africa-looking continent, you want to launch before the other target that's orbiting hits the water to the west of that continent, and that's relatively a good spot to launch your craft because, of course, it's going to take a little bit until you get into a similar orbit. Now, once you launch, you might find that your target is slightly ahead of you or slightly behind you. If it's behind you, obviously you're ahead of it, and you need to slow down so it can catch up to you. So you want to burn prograde and extend your apoapsis past your target's apoapsis so you slow down and let it catch up to you. If you're behind it, you want to burn retrograde and lower your periaps so that you can catch up to it and dock. So here we are. Once you get within around 15 to 10 kilometers, you should burn retrograde relative to the target so that you cancel out all of your speed relative to the target, and then burn towards the target and gain some speed. There are more efficient ways to do it, but that's sort of a beginner, method of docking to or rendezvousing to the original craft. So, and you can repeat that as many times as necessary until you get to the craft. So I burned retrograde relative to the target, and then towards the target, and then I did it again right here. And as you can see, we are pretty close. We are coming up on the space station now. There it is coming into view. What a beautiful rendezvous. So this isn't a sort of traditional rendezvous. We only have Jeb on the station right now. But I thought this was a sort of a neat idea instead of just randomly docking two craft together. So we have these solar arms. Now, how do we dock the solar arms to the station? Well, we set the docking port on the station as our target, and then we focus on the target so it automatically points to the target. Then we do the same for the station. Control from here, from that docking port, and then set the docking port on the arm as its target, and then focus on target, and then slowly guide them together until they come with a beautiful dock. If you don't get it perfectly, not a big problem. The docking ports have magnets in them, so they'll sort of guide together on their own, but this is a simple way of sort of getting them to that point. Here we are deorbiting that second stage booster, and we can switch back to our beautiful solar array arm and get ready to repeat the same method. Set as target on both, and then slowly guide them together until they nice and perfectly guide together and dock together. Oh, switching to that orbit, and I accidentally switched to it and then couldn't switch back, so had to go into the mapping window and manually do that. But here we are, guiding them together very slowly. It might be tilted a little bit, but not a problem. We'll just let those magnets do their magic, and we have docked to the stations. We have those solar arms. Now we have to adjust the action groups. I forgot to do this in the vehicle assembly building. Adjust those action groups so we can extend those arms and extend those solar panels so we can get full use of the beautiful solar panels that we've docked. So you may notice that there's no other docking ports on this craft outside of the ones that we just docked to. So we are going to have to extend this station at some point, and that might be in a future video down the line. So there we are, those beautiful solar panels, and here we are going to go ahead and finish off the video. We have docked, and that's sort of a small rendezvous tutorial for this video, and who knows, maybe we'll go to the Joule system in the next video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked this video, and see you guys later.